Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. The flat season is in full cry at the moment, so naturally we've got some jumps racing to preview today, which should be fun, especially for someone like Callum who adores the jump way more than the flat. However, the first classics are out of the way, and we've also got, well, we have got the French Guineas this weekend, where Callum's best bet of the season runs. We're not going to talk about my best bet of the season because that definitely was not Tormore in the 2000 Guineas. That was definitely something else I haven't mentioned yet. But Callum, if you just want to remind us what your best bet of the flat season was.
Let's talk in Paris in the French 1,000 guineas. She's actually made it, which is promising. She ran a good trial. Well, calling it a trial, it was probably more just a 3 furlong canter, really, but because they absolutely just sprinted for home. But it still shows that she's trained on nicely. She was still in her coat a little bit then, and if she's improving from that, then I think she will win on Sunday, but she's quite short. She's about 9-2. I think it's fair considering it's a big field and there's some really nice horses in it. But I wouldn't be opposing now.
No, stick to your guns.
No.
But we had success last week. We all mentioned that we gave Night of Thunder a strong outside fancy. And we were all amazed that we independently came up with a 40-1 winner of the Guineas, and each one of us actually fancied it on our own. So, bravo, chaps, well done.
Can I also add that I was very, very impressed that your girlfriend was able to name the tri-cast in the correct order, but stupid me didn't go and twig in my head and go, ooh, let's go put a tri-cast on with that. That'd be a fun fiver. If it had done that, I'd have been 4 figures. Yeah, that'd have been great.
Oh well. Onwards and upwards. I mean,
40-1 winner practically.
Yeah, we have a lovely handicap hurdle to talk about first, the 150 from Haydock. Adam, I'm going to come to you first because I know that you're kind of sweet on one, but kind of not at the same time.
Yeah. Now, as you all know, when we did Cheltenham videos a long time ago, there was a horse for one of the handicaps I put up, and it was a horse called Trapmate. And I think I convinced Michael with the way I talked him up. And we came to the Tuesday morning of the festival, and I found out he wasn't going to run, and I was just destroyed. I was like, there goes one of my bets of the week. And he was Aintree as well. The reason he missed it, he was injured. He picked up a small niggle just before Cheltenham, and it's obviously kept him off for Aintree as well. I have two worries. One, whether the injury is, if it's been bad enough, and whether he'll be actually 100% here. And secondly, if it rains, he will not appreciate softer ground because last season he really appreciated better ground, and the wins at Aintree and Cheltenham showed that as well. If he is declared non-running, I've got a feeling he may be if the ground deteriorates. I've looked at Big Easy, who ran a really good race at Aintree behind Dr. Harper, and on the basis of that, and also the win 2 starts to go over hurdles, his head runs on the flat in between, when he won a Cheltenham handicap where he beat Destroyed Deployed, I'd give him a real big chance in this tomorrow.
Fair enough. As I mentioned earlier, the worries with me would be the injuries if they've mounted up and actually affected him. Yeah. But then it could be a blessing in disguise because he's only had one run this season. He's missed half the season, or pretty much.
And it was the plan. It was the plan to run at Cheltenham in October and then put him away for the Potemps or Aintree, depending on where the ground was best.
Yeah.
So, I hope it doesn't rain, and if he does run, I give him a chance. And I think 12-1 is quite a big price on Trapmate if he runs. So
yeah, that is that. Callum, your fancy?
There's one I think is a little bit overpriced. I might just give a go to. It's Broadway Buffalo, who's been in my tracker for a while this season. He hasn't really progressed as I thought he would. He ran a really eye-catching race earlier on in the season. I can't remember which race it was exactly, but it was a really eye-catching race. It was at Chepstow, actually. Chepstow in a Grade 3 hurdle where he went off a really strong favourite, and he just hasn't really gone on from that. But he got possibly one of the worst rides I've ever seen at Huntingdon after that. And the races after that, he's run pretty well. He ran 8th behind Fingal Bay in a Potence that has worked out incredibly well. Last time he ran well. He was up with the pace last time. But down in trip, I think stepping back up to 3 miles is exactly what he wants. A bit of cut in the ground, I think, will suit. I've seen there's been a little bit of money for him already. He was 14s early, he's now only 11-1. I just think he's one that could strike tomorrow. He's just got. He looks to have a race in him sometime. He's still on the go. He's just dropping down a few pounds in the market. If he can back up that first run this season, or even his Potemps run back at this trip, then I think he's got a really good chance.
It doesn't look the strongest of races, I'd say. Competitive, but...
And he's price-wise as well. And
I thought he would be.
And I know that Callum loves that Attempts form with...
Yeah. I apologise for getting Fingal baby last week. Michael?
Yeah, I made a lot of notes on this, actually. Lunique won last time out, and I think that is probably the classiest horse in the race. I've made loads of notes here. Chris Spin's a very game and consistent sort, who I'm a big fan of, but I just think the weight and the busy campaigns might not be the best for him. Fiber's Flyer's mark over hurdles makes him very interesting here. I think he has got to improve, but off that mark makes him competitive. Cross Kennan is one of my favourite horses, but needs softer ground. Track mate out with injury for a long time, as Adam's pretty much said. Big Hands Harry seems to be the progressive sort in the race, but I don't know, I'm not overly convinced with the formers yet. We'll see. The one I've come out with, after rolling off 6, I think, is Wise Hill Teabags.
No! What the... I thought that was safe. No one was going to take that.
No, I'm not normally a fan of this horse, but everything seems right. I'm really, at the moment, really like horses who've had a little bit of a break. And this one fits the bill. Small layoff, enjoys the track and the trip. It was not far enough. He was closest at the finish at Ayr last time out. Beat Mr. Dillon before that. The weight's fine. I think Wise Hill Teabags is the one to take into this race. But I think Lunique is the main danger.
Yeah, I had this one down as a potential entry for the Naughty Luck 15 as well.
Wise Hill Teabags. Oh god. There's a few later on actually. I haven't done one, but I know a few that I will be including.
That's our friend Wise Hill and his teabagging stories. Yeah, you do the Naughty Luck 15. I, as you might have guessed by my groans, I'm also with Wise Hill Teabags. Ryan Manny is on board. He's just had a light season this kind of year, or this time of year, sorry. You just want horses that haven't really gone over the top, and a lot of these have had a really hard season and run a lot. Lunique, I thought after her Sandown win, thought she'd be put away for the season, but apparently not. She's going for one more. But Cross Kennan is the other one I wouldn't be against running well. But I think the ground will be soft enough. Michael mentioned that, but he needs soft, sorry. But there is soft in the going description. It wouldn't surprise me to see him run a big race tomorrow. It's about 10 to 1. To be backing him, I probably want a little bit more value than that, if I'm honest. But Wise Hill Teabags, I think, definitely has a bit more scope for improvement, and would be the one that I'm siding with. But on to the 205 at Ascot now. Now we have a flat race for Callum to decipher. And we also have a Naughty Luck 15 surefire entry in this race. Callum, we'll give you first rights to this one.
This is 205 at Ascot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good race this. The last 3 races, or the only 3 runnings of this race, have all gone to 4-year-olds, so I think you should concentrate on the 4-year-olds. Hamelin is favourite. I think probably deserves to be, considering he's only had 4 runs so far. Won his last 2, extremely well bred, by Cape Cross out of Love Divine, an Oaks winner, a full brother to Native Ruler, and a half brother to 60s Icon. So it's all about staying in that pedigree and all about progressing. So I think he deserves to be favourite. But Glorious Protector, again, I think he has to go very close, because his third to Brass Ring last time out at Lingfield was really strong form. The second Viewpoint won on All-Weather Champions Day. And Brass Ring, albeit disappointed last time out, it was in the Jockey Club at Newmarket. So again, I think that's really strong form. He deserves a chance if he's less fresh this time. He was very keen that time. And Rhombus, I think, has to go on the shortlist. I think the winner is between those 3, but I don't think I want to put my neck out and say which one it'll be. But Hamelin's definitely the biggest prospect, and I think Glorious Protector is probably the one that's going to be most ready tomorrow.
Yeah, Glorious Protector is the one that I like in this race as well. And Brass Ring, you mentioned the Jockey Club Stakes. I think that was a bit of a farce of a race, to be honest. There wasn't any pace on at all, and Trading Leather sort of his connections defeated his chance, I feel. And I'm surprised he didn't mention that he finished 2 1/4 lengths behind Cape Peron on his second outing. He's still fairly lightly raced, but isn't there any kind of mention?
Glorious Protector?
Yeah, he finished
I didn't look at that.
2 1/4 lengths behind Cape Peron on off level weights as well.
That's a monster performance.
And 5 lengths behind Telescope as well on debut as well.
Yeah.
So.
Telescope's a yak now, apparently.
That newbie race worked out really well, so it's very strong form here.
Such a shame that Kate Perron's out for the season as well. That's
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've nailed my colours to Glorious Protector as well. I might mention a little bit more later, but we'll go for Adam at the moment.
yeah, I agree with Luke. Sorry. Basically, I had a look through it, and he was second to Thomas Hobson, and Thomas Hobson was a very good handicapper who went on and won at Doncaster at the end of the season. It was a good run on comeback behind Brass Ring, and Brass Ring I thought ran all right last week at Newmarket. We know he'll handle the ground because if I look for his form, and that second good one on really soft ground was the one that's tipped me on his side, because it'll take some getting tomorrow, and I think he'll be the one that'll be most ready for this. So he's the one to beat for me, although I can see Hamelin improving in time. So
yeah, there's a bit of support tonight as well for Glorious Protector. 4s into 3s, not huge moves, but...
And also, the Naughty Lucky 15 horse needs good ground, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was actually a non-runner.
We'll let Michael talk about his favourite thing. Oh, Michael.
I really don't like this race. I looked at it and I kept looking at it and I just couldn't weigh it up. It just didn't go with me. So I'm going to go with my Naughty Lucky 15, Seaman, who won twice last year, including after a layoff. This is his trip. I think he won once over this distance. Rain wouldn't help. He's been pulled out, I think, a few times because of the rain, and he's run poorly on the soft going before.
He's a talented horse. He can walk on water.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've never experienced that with Demon before, but whatever you say, Luke. So we'll stick with Seaman and put him in the Naughty Lucky 15, but I won't be getting involved in this race.
Yeah, it doesn't look the nicest of races. The only thing I'd say against Glorious Protector is that I'm never a big fan of seeing 3s and 2s beside a horse's name. Just it would suggest that he finds winning hard to come by. But he has been running against probably classier opposition than this, with Brass Ring and Thomas Hobson. Then if you go back far enough, Kate Prawn obviously. But I believe that there's some rain expected tomorrow morning, so that wouldn't be against him at all. He's run well on soft before, and it's just more of a matter. Can't really find much else to beat. But moving on to the first classic trial at Lingfield tomorrow, the Oaks trial. Adam, I think you go for you.
No, that's not my dog.
It's some sort of stupid dog out there. Sorry.
No, it's not mine. It's not my dog. My dog's being quiet.
I think
For God's sake.
Callum is turning into Dr. Dolittle. First the cat, then we got the dog.
Stupid. The cat's about.
Is the cat there tonight by any chance?
Yes, right here. It's scary.
Oh.
Unbelievable. Sorry.
But anyway, as mentioned, the Oaks winner came out of this race a few years ago with Look Here for Rafe Beckett, who really targets these races a lot. I think has 3 in it this time around. I think all of us to back the same horse for the Oaks in Cambridge, who's still being supported. So my question might be a bit redundant here, saying, is the Oaks winner going to come out of this field, Michael?
No, I don't think so. No, God, no. Yeah, I couldn't get that enthusiastic. I think Casual Smile, on the Tagruda form is a bit overpriced, but Tagruda has improved over further, and Casual Smile. I will be taking Casual Smile today in the 220 at Lingfield. Cedar Star's 3-year-olds are really taking off. He was beaten 2 starts ago as well by Fiji, who I think has been placed behind Itimal over in Dubai during the winter. And the step up in the trip sure to suit. So I will be taking Casual Smile today, but unless you see something very dramatic, I'd still stick with Tagruda, who will of course finish the second to Cambridge in the Oaks.
Of course. We don't want to put down Cambridge at all.
Next week in the Musidora.
Yes, ready to unpile on her that day. Probably not a good term to use after we just talked about Seaman. Callum, your thoughts on the Oaks trial?
No, I don't think it's a bad race, to be honest. I know the Derby trial's getting a nice little prize money boost, and I think trainers like this Lingfield, Derby and Oaks trial. So especially Rafe Beckett, who obviously has won it before with Look Here. And, was it Look Here who won it? Yeah. And Secret Gesture won it last year, and he's got 3 in the race. On jockey bookings, you'd have to think Moonrise Landing is probably the better one, considering Jim Crowley is on her. I thought her debut win at Lingfield New Weather was fairly impressive. She beat a decent yardstick, albeit that yardstick has been beaten convincingly since. Queen's Prize needed every yard of 7 furlongs when winning at Kempton. I think she's desperate for a step up and trip, and I think she's very much respected with the connection she's got. And Casual Smile, albeit still a maiden, some very good form, including that second to Tagruda, who's obviously the one to beat in the Oaks so far on what we've seen. And she's got a fantastic pedigree, being by See the Stars, had a brilliant start to his 3-year-old season, and out of Casual Look, who won the Oaks herself. So, again, she must be respected. Island Remedies going the right way as well, was beaten off about 65 in handicaps last season, but is now running off 87. The one for me, I'm going to go for Kalisha, the second choice, or maybe the third choice of Ray Beckett's yard. But I was really impressed by her debut win at Sandown the other week. She beat a fairly decent yardstick in Nancy from Nairobi. And I was just impressed by her attitude. I think she relished the trip. Any rain will suit Kalisha as well. And I just think she's a little bit overpriced at 9-1. I think she's well worth a chance in a trial like this. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's up to winning it. So Kalisha for me.
Yeah, you mentioned the rain. Last night I was on Berry Nation. We had Neil Mackenzie Ross on, the clerk of the course of Lingfield, and he said that he was actually expecting rain to come tomorrow morning, but none tonight. So if that rain does come, it will be interesting what the ground would be like, because we saw last night it was firm in places, but it was soft also in places at Lingfield. It's probably one of the weirdest tracks by Leicester for going. I'm siding with Queen's Prize in this one. Her debut at Kempton was taking in a weird fashion, because as Callum said, she needed every single yard. A furlong out, you would not have called her the winner whatsoever, but then she sort of kicked into overdrive and her stamina came into play. Ryan Moore takes over the ride today. I think it was Tom Quealy that was on that day. Ground I don't think will be an issue by the way she carries herself through the race. She's got a fairly high knee action, so softer ground shouldn't really inconvenience her too much. And the worry I had was Moonrise Landing, who still got the same portfolio really as Queen's Prize, came from Lingfield instead of Kempton. But again, I think her knee action, she would go on softer grounds, and you have to respect anything from Rafe Beckett's yard in this race. But she sort of also didn't quicken instantaneously. She'll go further as well. She just very, very slowly went through the gears and then went away nicely. So them two for me are very much the ones to take. And Michael, you're the one we haven't spoken to about this race, isn't it?
No.
The T20? Yes, you have.
Have we? Yeah.
Me.
Adam.
Oh. It doesn't really matter anyway, because all the points I had to say about the horse that I was going to talk about have all been taken, which is Casual Smile. Because I was hoping that Callum wasn't going to mention Casual Look in there, who won the Oaks for Andrew Balling in the same owner back in 2003.
Sorry.
It's okay. But for anyone who watched the BBC programme the other week where they show Claire Balding's reaction to the win, which was hilarious. I mean, she's literally shouting on the horse. I don't think that Casual Smile will win the Oaks, but I can see her definitely improving this season with the See the Stars, because from 2 to 3, they're all improving so much, and See the Stars is probably going to be one of the top signers this year. So, so Casual Smile tomorrow, but not for the Oaks.
Yeah, that's fair. Questions, that's what I was going to go on to. Sorry, completely on my every single week, I forget to ask for questions at the top of the show, or fancy. So if any have any questions about any of the races tomorrow, or any fancies at all, send them in to any of us via Twitter. We'll try and read them out at the end of the show. And now I've said that, now you guys can't get mad at me for forgetting that. I've written it down in big letters on my piece of paper here, questions.
I've already had a couple which I'll answer later on as well. So.
Moving on to the 240 at Ascot. It's quite a nice race, this one. One of the races of the day for me. Pedder's Moon we spoke about last week. He'd probably be the one to beat after that performance. Callum, you're quite a fan of Pedder's Moon, aren't you?
Big fan of Pedder's Moon. I think he should be way too good for these if he gets his conditions. And I'm a little bit surprised he's out a week later, to be honest, because he had a hard enough race that first time up. and if the ground isn't right for him, then I don't see why they're going to run him. But I wouldn't be too disheartened if the ground was, if it did go too softly and he didn't run. But if he does run, even with a £3 penalty, I think he should be way too good for them, because there's not many that seem that progressive in this lineup. The yardstick is probably Harris Tweed out of the rest of them, but again, he seems to need further now, and at least I think 1 mile 6. But he did go way too quick last time out, over 2 miles, and I think you can excuse that run. And he does like Ascot, but bar that, there's nothing that appeals to me apart from Pethers Moon, and I think 9-2 is pretty fair. I expect it to be about half that, to be honest. So if the rain does stay away, or the rain's not too significant, then I'd be seriously tempted by 9-2, to be honest, because, like I said, I just think he's way too good for these.
Yeah, judging by the way they're going through the ground at Ascot tonight as well, it doesn't look overly soft there at all, does it?
No.
I don't know if you actually got to watch any of the action, but it looks fairly nice ground. So I don't think there's meant to be too much rain, but yeah, Pethers Moon would definitely be an interesting one for me. We've actually had a question from Kieran at Monkey Tips. Hi, Kieran from Monkey Tips. Nice to see that you're still here after 12 more didn't win the Guineas. Damn it. He said you probably mentioned it, but Gatewood in the Ascot race, well, the one we're talking about right now, 7-2. He said he's got that.
Well, he's been mugged off then, isn't he?
Yeah, you've been mugged off big time. He's 6-1 in places. That is a horrendous price, Kieran.
I think he must mean 7-1.
I hope so. And then he's got that in a double with Casual Smile at 7-2, who he mentioned previously. 7-2 at Casual Smile, that's not a bad price.
Yeah, maybe where it is.
But
yeah.
7-2 about Gatewood is a disgusting price.
Yeah, whoever gave you that, you need to have a word with them.
Probably Ladbrokes. We'll put Ladbrokes down for it.
Yeah.
But would any of you give Gatewood a chance?
He'll come on for that first run, but you just need to have seconditis. Then again, with Ladbrokes at the minute, when you've got 1 to 10,000 on in like a 20-runner handicap, and you're like, what's going on there?
Yeah. Not really my idea of value, 1 to 10,000.
No.
I've not forgiven Gatewood since I backed him at 500 to 1 for Melbourne Cup and he didn't make the field.
Oh, gutting. It's also notable that William Buick goes to Lingfield as well, I think.
Yeah.
For tomorrow, isn't he? Yeah.
I go with that, yeah.
I wish he was in America, Belmont, to ride Grandeur. But, other than that, he's at Lingfield, so Frankie Dettori gets to ride on Gatewood. But, Adam, your actual fancy for the race tomorrow?
Well, I did like Pethers Moon as well. I thought he ran a really good race last week. And 9-2, as Callum was saying, is a big price if he runs, depending on how much rain. I had a look through the field. I think Kappa Rushes is going to need his first run back. And watch out for him later in the season in a good group race. I don't know where, but one that is come off the page at me is a Royal Ascot winner in Elidor who won really.
Odd.
Yes, I took one of Luke's.
You're going to get... No, you haven't. I wouldn't touch that with a barge pole.
Oh, fair enough. But I thought he won quite nicely at first, and we know he likes the track, and he's had a prep run. But
you followed that off a cliff last year.
I didn't follow him off a cliff last year, actually.
I remember you put him in loads of videos.
No, I put him up once last year. I didn't follow him off the cliff. I followed him off an Ascot video. I think that's the same race where my nap came last.
Yeah, you did.
It could have been that day. But yeah, I think Elidor each way could be a bit of place value.
Okay, fair enough. Michael?
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting race for me. I'm a massive fan of Harris Tweed, as everyone knows, I think. And I think he will be much better this time. He run off far too quick. And I don't think 2 miles. I don't think he gets 2 miles. 1 mile 6 is his best trip. He won at that twice, I think, at Goodwood last year. But I think that a big danger could be the Australian horse for Marco Botti and Kellini. He has been racing in group contests recently, and he's not really been cutting much ice. But his last win came in a listed race. This is a listed race. He's won on heavy and good, and same owners as Tactical Brastron. This could be an interesting horse for the year, I think, especially on. Well, he seems to go on any ground according to what I've seen. So I think 8-1 of Panini. I think Pethers Moon, if it stays good and it's not raining, I think Pethers Moon will be very difficult to beat. Harris Tweed, I think, will set it up, but will need an extra 2 furlongs. And I think Collini could be the one that you've got to worry about here.
Would Collini need further?
One over this distance before, I believe, and over an extra furlong. So somewhere around this, I think, is probably the best trip.
I've just seen that he was fourth in a Melbourne Cup behind Green Moon, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, but the Melbourne Cups, you know what they're like. You need a horse like Dandino. His ultimate trip really is 1 mile 6, 1 mile 4, 1 mile 6, somewhere between there. So I think this is maybe he needs a bit further, but the ground will help if it's soft. So I think Collini is a big danger.
The one thing that I'd be wary of about that as well is that Australian soft would be a hell of a lot different to our soft over here.
Yeah, but he's gone on good and soft. Well, good and heavy. Sorry, I think it was when you won. It was on heavy.
No, he goes on anything. I'm siding with Pez's Moon as well. I don't think I'm quite as big a fan of him as Callum is, but I really do like the horse a lot. Pretty much followed him off a cliff last year. Brilliant run last week actually. You can't fault that at all. And there's just a few in the race that you got question marks over. Area 51 again is a horse that I really like. He's been hurdling. That didn't really materialise, but he's still with Nicky Henderson. A return to his best could see him go close. Harris Tweed disappointed badly last time. He just didn't look the horse that he is, basically. When he was joined, he didn't really battle back and just phased out of it. You'd hope for a better performance from him again, but Pez's Moon, you'd be looking at. He wasn't restrained last time, was he? He was ridden fairly forward, which surprised me, but I expected him to be a bit more restrained, but I don't know. Pez's Moon would be the one I take out of the field, but I'd have Gatewood down probably as the biggest danger, but again, with Gatewood, I mentioned earlier about thirds and seconds, I'd have worries about him, his temperament, and I'm about to get mobbed, I think. So before that, we'll move on to the Derby trial, in which Aidan O'Brien is double-handed in the 255 at Lingfield with Mekong River and Blue Hussars. Any of you actually put that up as a selection?
No.
No, none of you. I banked on one of you going for one of them. Okay, Adam, we'll go for Michael first. I don't think we've done Michael first yet.
Okay, yeah, not really my ideal race, to be honest, either. Seven Wonder, I think, should take it. It was impressive last time at Newmarket. I'm sure someone else will come and talk about that one in more detail. Of other interest bets, I like the Western Hymn form and the horses that have that Snow Sky and Red Galileo. I think that could be where your second place comes from. But I am now Luke's going to kill me because I have noticed a very interesting fact about Mekong River. He was beaten 12 lengths last time out by the Prix de Jockey Club favourite, which I'm really sweet of. I was really impressed when I watched him on Saturday, I think it was. A horse called Prince Gibraltar. It was 7-2 last time I looked for the Prix de Jockey Club, and I think he's got a serious chance. The way he went past some horses last time in the Prix de... no, I can't remember what it was. Prix de Griffol, I think it was something. Prix de Griffol, I think. I think it's a Group 2 contest, I'm not sure. But basically, Prince Gibraltar is a really interesting horse. So Mekong River was beating 12 lengths. I'm not sure if that's good enough, but perhaps it is. I think Seven Wonder is the one to beat, though. Mekong River, I am interested in, I suppose you could say. So we'll see how that form line holds up.
The worry I've got with Mekong River, obviously you can't doubt he's a good horse. He's won 4 times and then got beaten in Group 1 last time. I'd be very worried about his temperament. He doesn't look a horse that's 100% genuine. And to add to that fact, he's already, in his 4 runs or 5 runs already, he's already had cheek pieces, a visor, and blinkers all fitted. He's won with all of them on, but that wouldn't really scream to you a horse that is very straightforward. And actually, my nap is going to come in this race in the form of Southern Wonder, who me and Callum anyway, saw at the Craven meeting. I thought very impressively. He never really looked as if he was going to get overturned or out-battled, and the step-up in trip will definitely be in his favour. That was a very valuable race in its own right, but I was just waiting for him to step up in trip, and this looks to be that race. And one other thing I'd like to add on to him is that he looks to be getting better with age. So obviously he's only through, but with every run, I think he's got a bit better. He'd need to be today. He's got a little bit to find on ratings officially with Mekong River, but out of the rest, I'm not really sure which ones would be the biggest danger. Hartnell and Signposted had their Derby credentials severely bashed at Epsom. Maybe Double Bluff if he gets handed an easy lead. I'm not going to say too much about Double Bluff because I'm sure Adam is going to tell us all about that right now. Adam.
Cheers. He's actually my selection each way in the race. I think he's overpriced compared to Snow Sky, who only beat him a short head. And if you like Snow Sky at 7-2, I'd definitely have a second look at Double Bluff at 14s in places. I thought he ran really well for his comeback run, and he went from the front, and he's a bit like his sire, Double Trigger, who was a battler himself. So well, he's got a Double Trigger in the family anyway. But yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, hang on a minute, no, he's not his sire. I thought he was reading Double. I think he'll take them along, and I do think he'll be difficult to pass. If he's given a soft lead in this field, I'm not sure about Hartnell now after that run, and he also was very distressed after that race as well. So I think Sudden Wonder is definitely the one to beat, but at a bigger price, I do like Double Bluff a hell of a lot. So
yeah, and Double Bluff.
He's going to improve for his step up in trip as well. So
Double Bluff is the choice of Joe Fanning ahead of Hartnell as well.
Yes.
On that, so that can only be seen as a positive. Callum, we've left you to last on this one, which I'm sure you've hated.
No,
but
sorry.
you can have your bash at it.
I agree with you. Look, I think Sudden Wonder's the one to beat. I was impressed last time in that sales race. I thought he did it really nicely, and I know he's a horse that Charlie Appleby likes a lot, and I think ground should be fine. He won a maiden. No, he won a conditions race by 8 lengths on softer ground, so I think that should be fine. I do think Snow Sky will confirm that form with Double Bluff, because he did run on really well at the end, and he just looked a lot more in need of the race than Double Bluff did. But even then, he was well beaten by Western Hymn. Western Hymn's a good horse, but if you want to think there's something of Derby standard in this, then you have to think that something's going to beat Snow Sky, because Western Hymn is going for the Dante, and the Dante. Well, no, I think he's out the Dante actually, but he would seem more of a Dante type, and I just don't think Snow Sky's as good as him. So Mekong River, I'm probably against as well. I think he does have his quirks. So did his dam, to be fair, Simply Perfect. She did win 2 Group 1s, but she had her quirks. And yeah, I'm just not really convinced with him with the step up and trip. I'm not convinced about much, to be honest. I'm not a massive fan of the horse, and I think Sudden Wonder's definitely the one to beat. I think 7-2 is pretty fair. And Hartnell as well. I mean, he finished distressed last time out, but he was about 6 lengths ahead of Mekong River when they both ran in the Criterion de Saint Cloud. So again, if he can confirm that form, then he's overpriced. But then Joe Fanning's on Double Bluff, so that's put me off anyway. So Sudden Wonder, I think will win.
I'd stop before you give yourself a headache, mate. It sounds like you're in circles there. Wobbia's got in touch. Hi, Wobbia. Saying Sudden Wonder drifted massively on the day. Does he mean? I'm guessing he means in the betting market rather than on the track. As he goes on to say, is that a good sign to show he may not have been ready last time or just bad punters? Well, you didn't have your money on it, Wobbia, so there's you. I'd say that's justified, to be fair, because Godolphin haven't really hit the ground running this season. I think they've had winners, yeah, but there's been a lot of disappointments. Outstrip probably the most recent one, but
he did go badly though. Outstrip did go badly after the Guineas.
Yeah, but
I'm relieved to hear.
Yeah, but they've had a few more sort of disappointments. True Story is probably the only non-big disappointment really, but their horses haven't really been going as well as we know them to. So I'm not sure. Sudden Wonder has proved his well-being, and I think he will improve for his first run of the season last time out. But we move on to the 3:15 at Ascot. And Marco, you mentioned Feedjar earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, runs in this. I noticed that after writing my notes. Not interested in Feedjar. I think Ribbons should take this. It was very progressive last year in handicaps and shaped really well behind Zuriga. The first one got going a bit too soon for her. Well, got the run of the race in comparison. Remains only beaten in listed races. This is a handicap. Ribbons should take it. I can't really see past that one. And to be honest, otherwise it's not really a betting race. I think she's only 2-1.
Yeah. Callum, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Ribbons definitely the one to beat. She's always a filly I've always liked a hell of a lot, to be honest. And I thought her reappearance run behind Zuriga was very promising. She probably didn't get the best of rides, but I don't think she was really ridden to win that day. She did have given a lot to do when Zariga was up the front and just kicked on off a slow pace. So this should suit her. I think there's enough pace in this race just to really suit her a lot, and I think she should be fine on the ground. She won on good to soft at Goodwood, so she's without doubt the one to beat, and it usually goes to quite a decent little filly. So Gifted Girls won this before going on to better stuff. Making Eyes has won this as well. So I think Ascot as well will really play into her hands tomorrow. The danger, I think Michael touched on Fijian, but she's got some really decent form in Meydan. She was twice behind Itamal. She probably does need further. I do think 10 furlongs will see the best of her, but I think she'll run well tomorrow. So it's between the two for me, Ribbons and Fijiano. It's not ground breaking since they're virtually the top two in the market, but yeah, I'll go for those two.
The only worry you have with Ribbons is Zariga didn't really frank form last week, albeit in a much better race. So it's hard to really assess that form. Adam, your fancy for this?
It's a really boring selection. It is Ribbons again. I just go with the forecast basically. Cause for me, when you look at them two and you look at the rest of the field, you're trying to find one in there, and I genuinely just can't find one. For me, it's not the type of race that I'd want to get involved in tomorrow. So yeah, I personally wouldn't have a bet in it, but if I had to be pushed for a selection, I'd say Ribbons.
I've also gone for Ribbons. The biggest danger that I've got is Rashida, who last time out was very much an eye catcher when running into fourth. I'm surprised they haven't stepped her up in trip though. That's my main worry. I'm not overly convinced about her though. I would like to see her go up another maybe couple of furlongs, but I don't think she's going to be good enough to beat Ribbons tomorrow. I think Ribbons is pretty much almost a finished article anyway, when Rashida's far from it. There's not really much more that I can add to Ribbons that you guys haven't already said, but I'll probably talk about Hayley Turner a bit later on for the Victoria Cup, but there's nothing really more that I can add other than I think it's a clean sweep on the panel for Ribbons tomorrow afternoon, and if she doesn't win, then we'll be left with blushing faces. Back jumping though at Haydock, and we have the Swinton Hurdle won last year by Barazan. Barazan is in the race once again. Does anyone think he can defend his crown? Of course, this year he hasn't got Mr. Mole to not go past him.
What a rogue Mr. Mole is. A legend. I can give him a chance.
I'd want the ground a little bit faster than it is.
Yeah.
But then AP got on with him very well when a juvenile, so AP knows the horse. Went back when with Evan Williams.
Plus he did ride a double last night at Carlisle for McCain as well, so yeah, I can see that. But the one that I would love to win, and I think the whole panel would agree with me, if As I Am can win this race, I will be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah.
Because she is just, as I said last week or the week before, she's just a legend. I mean, the win at Cheltenham was just brilliant. I mean, if you'd have said to me 12 months ago that this horse was going to win at Worcester and then go on and win at Cheltenham, I'd have probably said, yeah, I don't believe you there. But if she can win this, I'd be just thrilled. I don't know if she can win this though. That's the only thing. If she does, I'd be thrilled. The one, it's a tricky race, and she was going to be the selection, but there was ground issues as well. I actually quite like Swing Bowler. With Mikey Ennis taking 7 off, and she was a good fourth, I thought, in the Scottish Champion behind Cockney Sparrow. Admittedly, she came out and disappointed at Punchestown last week, but she's not been on the go much this season, and it's only a 4th run, and she's run well in all her races, so I'd be interested in Swing Bowler.
Yeah, it's not the worst shot in the world. I think it's a wide open contest, and probably one of my favourite races of the day. Not because it's just over jumps, but it's very competitive as well. Me and Callum actually agree on one. I'll let Callum steal the thunder here with Monbazon, I believe.
Yeah, I'd give him a squeak. I mean, I've followed him for a long time. I mean, he won a bumper in his first season, which Magnifique ran in, and ever since then I've followed him. So, he was second he was placed in a no, he was 4th. Sorry,
He's got gradually worse.
He was 4th. He was fourth in a Supreme Novices and placed in an Aintree bumper as well, and placed in the County Hurdle this season. I just think with the main man, Mr. Hutchinson, back on, which is always a reason to back a horse when Chock's been on it, that I think that he's got a good chance, even though he's off top weight. The ground, hopefully, the rain stays away. I think Vibrato Valtat is very solid. He likes a strong pace to run out. He should get it tomorrow. I was really keen on him for the Imperial Cup. Maybe the ground was a little bit too soft for him, but this should be ideal for him. Sandwich and Davis on. Those are the two for me. If you're looking at your Scoop Sixes, I think Montbazon and Vibrato Valtat, I don't see out of the places anyway. So they're the two for me.
Vibrato Valtat. I'm
it.
fairly strongly against him.
Why?
Last time out, he should have been arguably third. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Again, he needs a strong pace to run at, and I couldn't say he would have been finished third at all. He was still on the bridle.
I said he could have been third, but then he doesn't always find much off the bridle.
Yeah.
No, and he did that day.
Then again, the Henderson horse was.
I was against him that day, but I still think, even considering Sign of a Victory is a pretty decent horse, rated 140.
Yeah.
And even then, if he hadn't won, he would have been very close. And so, considering he's off 131, then he's running close to a 140 horse. So I wouldn't. Oh, and he was giving £4. So yeah, I wouldn't be against him at all for that reason.
I wouldn't be willing to take him at 9-2 though in a race like this.
Well, he's 11-2, isn't he? 11-2.
Well, I'm seeing 9-2 at the moment. I've only got Sporting Life with Sky Bet, and that's probably not the most trustworthy of prices.
I think he fully deserves to be favourite.
Yeah. Well, the fact that Dubai Island.
You don't have to agree with me, but I really do think he should be favourite.
Yeah.
And I can't see him out the places, if I'm honest.
If it's first four, maybe. If it's first three, I could definitely see him out the places. I'm quite surprised Adam didn't put up Dubai Island.
No, I know the colours and all that. Having had a second look at the race, I'd also give Ballygushin a second look, because I thought he ran well at Sandown. Is that Michael's tip or? Oh dear. No. Okay. No, I mean, if you remember him in the Fred Winter, he got badly balked at the second and then was pulled up pretty swiftly after that. And I thought he ran well at Sandown 2 weeks ago, and if the rain doesn't come, I think the better ground will help him.
Yeah, but then I would say that the better ground will be against Dubai Island. I'm not overly convinced that he wants ground.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, most of the niches tend to want soft ground, so if the rain comes tomorrow morning, then...
I think he is one of them. He's a big bull of a horse, like, again, most of the niches are. But I'm just not convinced that he'd be an out-and-out 2-miler on good ground. Saying that, he'll probably go and absolutely hack up now. I'm with Montbazon, who I'm willing to forgive last time's performance. He was third in the county hurdle behind Lac Fontana, who's a Grade 1 winner now at Aintree, and behind Lac Fontana was Arctic Fire, who was won since, probably in a weaker race for sure, but has gone in that form. One of the Cheltenham handicaps just keeps on giving. The form of it just seems so strong. Didn't really run his race overly last time out at Ayr behind Cockney Sparrow with My Centre Yours, obviously that well-known handicapper in the race. I'd be willing to give him another chance off at a bit of a higher rating. I have to say I've come around to the way of thinking with Wayne Hutchinson on Alan King's horses, although Border Success.
Yeah,
that was
his
occasion.
finest moment.
We'll give him one.
Yeah, that was not a fine moment.
Yeah, okay. I think Montbazon off top weight. I don't think he's weighted too highly at the moment. There was talk, remember, at one time he's a champion hurdle horse, wasn't he? I wasn't ever of the thought process that he was actually going to materialise into a champion hurdle horse. But if he's thought of that highly by connections, then 147 he really should be behind that mark. Michael, we haven't actually come to you for this, and it's a big handicap.
Yeah, I've picked out 3. Ballyglashin is one of them, but just because of the prices and if it comes up good ground. He seemed to just, at Sandown, he just didn't seem to pick up and then stayed on again. And I think better ground will let him, kick off a bit more, especially if he gets an easy lead. But I don't think he's going to get that here. I just think 25 to 1's a bit is a bit big. Of my two, I think As I Am needs a mention. What an absolute mare. She's amazing. So many superlatives for that horse. Don't know if this is going to be her race, but I seem to be reiterating what Adam says. Swing Bowler was my main selection after a bit of a break. Has been promising a lot this season. Some really promising runs behind Splash of Ginge in the Betfair. Decent run behind Baltimore Rock next time at Sundown, and then another fair run at Air. I don't know if that Air run you could say was disappointing, but she went off 33 to 1, and it was finished only 7 lengths behind Cockney Sparrow. Decent race. I think she's got an excellent chance, but I do think Roberto Valtat should be favourite, and does hold Swing Bowler on the Sundown run as well. So I go Swing Bowler, and I think Valley Dashing might place at 25s.
Yeah, fair enough. So move from one big handicap onto an even bigger handicap, hurdles. It doesn't get much harder, but this is the final race that we'll be covering. Any questions that you've got, please send them in. We've already got Wabbia sending in abuse to me, claiming he's the world's best punter because of Noble Mission. I don't know who to get out of the way first with this one, Michael or Adam. Which one of you's probably got more to talk about in this?
Probably Michael.
Probably Adam. I've really struggled with this for once.
Go on, Adam. We'll let you
go. Well, I really like Heaven's Guest, and he's back in a handicap after 2 runs. The ground won't be an issue. I'm really sweet on his chances. George Chandler claims 3. Last time he rode the horse was in the Air Gold Cup, where 3-year-olds have a really bad record, and he ran a really good race. And then next time he went to Ascot on that brilliant Saturday with the Fabulous 5, as I've coined it, and he beat Bertie Whittle, who is actually another one that I'm quite interested in as well. But I just think them 2 runs will have brought him on. He's back in a handicap. I think he's got a big chance. I've noticed that he's actually come in for some money as well. But then again, it's probably the bookies who shot in every single horse in the race.
Yes.
Bertie Whittle is one that I'm also interested in. His handicap form, for me, is just really... He loves a big field, and he loves Ascot as well. They'd be the 2 for me in this race, but out of both of them, I'd be very sweet on Heaven's Guest.
Will Kajani sent in a question. What happened the last time Heaven's Guest ran over 7 furlongs?
I think he won.
He won.
Yeah,
yes.
He did win.
Course and distance. Yeah, course and distance.
What a 7 handicap. So that can't be taken as bad form, can it? Really?
Nope. That's why I'm really sweet. No.
You smug bastard.
You weren't there for that day, and we all killed the bookies, and you're there like, I wish I was in the video. That was a good weekend, that was.
Great weekend.
I'm guessing that's when I was at the wedding.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a great time at the wedding, so...
Yeah, you did. So, everybody was a winner that weekend.
Yeah, great time. Michael, we'll let you go on the big handicap.
Yeah, I've really struggled with this because a lot of the horses I like are either not running at the right distance or the ground's not good enough. Bronze Angel, for example, needs further, in my opinion. I know the Margsons fancy Excellent Guest. Didn't Excellent Guest win it last year? Yeah, it did indeed.
Yeah.
But the 2 horses I've landed on are Brownsea Brink and also Redwoods. No groans from anybody else, so that's okay. Brownsea Brink, I thought... Oh, sorry, my grandfather clock's going again.
Dogs with her clocks. What are we going to have next? National competition. What's the next interruption we're going to have on the other hoof? And whoever wins it gets a prize.
On Callum's cat, I think. Brownsea Brink looks though he's coming to the boil. Second behind Purcell, beating on Lingfield on return to action, and then good third behind Gabriel's Kaka. Not sure about the drop-in trip. Think he may need a mile, but I'm happy to be proven wrong there. But the one I've just found and really interested in now is Redvers, who loves these big field types. Got an excellent record at Ascot, 7 runs, 2 wins. One probably needs firm ground. One at firm at Haydock last year, and also here at Ascot beating Gabriel's Lad, who I think reopposes here, if I'm correct. Yeah. And I think 7 furlongs is his trip. So finding a horse that actually likes the 7 furlongs has been a bit of a problem for me. But I think Redvers had a pipe opener at Warwick last time over 6. That was only a 5-runner event that Music Master won. And I think Redvers is a really interesting type. Not type, he's pretty exposed now, but he's a decent handicapper. And if the rain doesn't come, he's got an excellent chance. He's about 16 to 1 on the moment.
Yeah. Am I the last one to go in this? No, Callum, you can go.
Great. Yeah, I'm surprised to see Loving Spirit is favourite. I thought I'd touch on the favourite first, or his joint favourite, because he hasn't won since his debut. So he's a horse that always knocks on the door, but just never seems to win. So I couldn't be backing him tomorrow. I think Brown Sea Brink, who Michael touched on, I think he's got a huge chance. The spring Cup form has worked out extremely well. Actually, there's a couple of horses that ran absolutely dreadful races and have come out and won and look like superstars. So Brown Sea Brink ran a really good race that day, stepped down to 7 furlongs again. I think will be fine for him, and I think he's probably just about the one to beat. He was just beaten by Purcell at Lingfield, but Purcell had the just seemed probably just a like he, I don't know, what can I say? He just seemed that he didn't need the run as much as Brown Sea Brink. There we go, I've got it. Heaven's Guess, I think, has got a good chance. I know Adam's very keen, and I wouldn't put him off him at all. Don't Bother Me if the ground is quicker. If it's decent ground, then he's got to have a big chance because he ran an eye-catching race last time out. Redford's again, I think he's going to be thereabouts. The one at a big price, I think, the horse that won last week at Thirsk, Ruwain for James Tate, is a big price. He shouldn't be 25 to 1. He's only had 5 starts over on turf, only 1 start over this trip, and he absolutely hacked up last week. He's £10 higher, but he's thriving according to his trainer, who's a shrewd little trainer as well, and I just don't see why he should be 25 to 1, to be honest, and I think he's probably on the right side with the draw as well. When there's always rain, I like to have a horse that's drawn low, so him and Brown Sea Brink for me are the two. I think Brown Sea Brink is probably the one to beat.
Yeah, I think we could all mention our top 5 and not mention the same horses, really. Pastoral Player is the one that I'm going to be siding with first time out, and there'll be a groan from Callum. There we go, there's the groan. And I can understand why. He's not the most straightforward of characters, which may be being a little bit lenient.
Understatement of the year.
It may be being a little bit lenient on him, but he's also had his fair share of, we'll say, not the greatest rides in the world, not mentioning any names. But Hayley Turner's back on board tomorrow, which I think is a massive advantage. And looking at his record fresh as well, he's won first time out at Newmarket. He's also come second first time out at Newmarket. And in 2012, he was actually 6th in this race, first time out. So he goes very well fresh. The ground won't be an issue for him. And I just think he's been taken on too high a company recently. He's been in sort of Group 3s, Group 2s, and running okay, but not really cutting it, really. And the return to a big handicap like this, I think will be right up his street and exactly what he wants. The other two that I quite liked was Louis the Pious, who me and Michael know way too much about after last week or 2 weeks ago. We're not quite getting up in a handicap against Glenn Moss. I think he'll overturn that form. And David Mara continues in fantastic form. He's been a little bit disappointing in the last four or 5 runners at Chester, but I forgive Chester form. And the other one, as an interest, is Georgian Bay, who won really, really easily last time out, but that was at Kempton. If he can transfer that form back onto turf, then he'd have a massive chance. But at 28 to 1, 33 to 1, I think biggest price. Pastoral Player definitely be the one for me. But it's such a hard race. I know Wabbia fancies AR as well. And he's claiming that he's found the first 5 winners of the Scoop 6, and this is going to be his 6th.
If he picks a winner of that Nottingham race, I will shake his hand. Oh.
What a great prize. Well done, Wabbia.
Well, he'd have won £5 million and he gets a shake of the hand off me. So.
Yeah, but you have to win the other 5 as well.
Yeah, true, but he wins all 6 and gets the winner of Nottingham race, then yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that is the last race that we have to cover tonight after an 8-race special, which has been terrible fun doing loads of handicaps with you guys. Michael, do you have a naughty luck 15 for us or not?
I do indeed, yeah. Pretty decent. I'm pretty impressed. We've got obviously the aforementioned pair, 150 at Haydock, Wise and Teabags, 205 at Ascot, Seaman, and then we go to Warwick, who have some class horses. In the 625 Arousal, and one of my favourite names ever, the 655 Climax Spectacle.
Oh, Jesus.
If that's how you get your jollies by being tackled, Michael, I'm not going to
I'm saying nothing.
What arousal? That's the one with the funny breeding as well. Like it's by stimulation out of midnight mover or something like that.
Oh, God.
It's fantastic breeding. Like I thought of the name is genius, and I don't know how the BHA let it past really. But time for naps before a couple of questions. Callum, we'll start with you.
Oh.
I'm going to go for a horse called Charte at Haydock in the 225. Its picks are probably one of the better races of the day to run in, but I was really impressed by his win last time out at Epsom. I just thought it was one of a potentially really smart horse. He's trained by Alan King. You wouldn't expect to have a horse running over this sort of trip, but I was just really impressed by that. And also he beat Observational at Newbury late last season. Observational's got some good form in Southern Wonder in that sales race. So Charte picks a good race, but I think 4-1's pretty fair on that.
Yeah.
Can I make a really disgusting point about that horse? I look at the owner, who is Mad Place, and I had a thought in my head that Callum's going to kill me about.
Well, I'll say
If we're going about hurdles,
I cannot wait.
Horse next season.
no, I wouldn't disagree with that. Even though I'm breeding, it says no. I want to be on the flat.
Yeah,
but
got a lot of scope about him. I can't wait to see another hurdle.
There's a lot of stamina on the downside. To be fair.
if we found the Triumph Hurdle winner a year, like 10 months before it, I'll be amazed.
Yeah,
Which
half
I'd
brother
go
to
for.
bumper winners as well. My
Yeah.
Inheritance and Master Red, 2 decent bumper horses.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I think that's a fair shout, to be honest, Adam. And if he does, then we'll be looking back at this video thinking, good shout.
Judges.
It's still my point. I was going to say that, and he said it first.
Ha.
Well done, Adam.
Go on, Adam. Your nap, please.
Oh, my nap. I'm going to say at Haydock too. It's another Alan King horse, a horse called Pantzoa, who won at Cheltenham last time out. Loves the spring and the summer, and I think he'll be the one to beat in that race.
I've actually gone for one of my blog in that race in Green Wizard. I think it's one of the worst races of the day. I just think it's a rubbish. I've picked the horse that isn't as bad as the others in that race for me. But
I don't know, that Nottingham Scoop 6 race is pretty crap.
Yeah. I can give you. I've got another selection that I'm quite confident in tomorrow. It's a horse called Frontier Spirit who runs in the last at Haydock, who ran a much improved race and I think failed to see out the 2.6. Back over 2.5. Ryan Hatch claims 5. I think he's got a big chance in that race as well.
fair enough. Michael, your nap, please.
Yeah, I've got quite a few naps that I fancy today. I'm going to have to
I only
talk
have
about
one.
I'm going to have to talk about the German horse then, that runs at 4 o'clock at Lingfield, because I actually commentated on this horse, and I was quite impressed when I was
Did it
doing
win by
this.
6 lengths?
No,
8 lengths?
I don't think it won by quite that far. I think it was only about 3 this time.
That's alright.
We'll call it.
It led pretty much from the outset, pillar to post, I think I said in commentary, and then was third behind the German Derby favourite, the Young Frau, who won it easily. But if Emerald Star gets an easy lead, back over 7 furlongs, I'd be really worried, especially considering Danielle Porcu comes over for the one ride for Peter Schögen. Especially to Lingfield, it just stands out as a very interesting entry anyway, and she's about between 8 and 10 to 1. So Emerald Star got a very decent chance in my opinion.
Yeah.
Got passed in the final 100, 200 meters or so over 1,600 meters, which is a mile if you're still in imperial units. So I think this drop back in trip won't inconvenience. In fact, I think it would be perfect for Winning Express, and they need the run. And I think Emerald Star's a very big price. I think Spinatrix will also win the 555 at first.
Yeah.
We had a question about Emerald Star from our good friend Shrise, who says, "How far does Emerald Star win by in the 4 o'clock at Lingfield?"
Well,
Which Michael's just answered. So
there's another one that's been brought over from France, Alain de Roy Dupré. Is Christophe Simeon's also coming for one ride
Where's this?
at Lingfield, and I've completely forgotten the name of it.
Is this the same race?
Delana.
Yeah, Delana, that's the one. Delana.
I
Yeah.
haven't actually looked at that one. I seem to have more of an allegiance for German horses now than French.
Well, I've got Delana on my blog, so
I think I'd rather have Emerald Star at the moment because Emerald Star's got that Group 3 form, as with Domena's form is a listed race over further when she was fifth. I'm not sure
Yeah.
about that.
It's just on softer ground, the drop in trip may help.
Yeah, possibly. I just think, is Delane a shorter price? Yeah, she's 3
much
to
shorter,
1.
much shorter.
Emerald Star's about 10. That's ridiculous considering Emerald Star's Group 3 form. So,
But they're rated exactly the same as well, and Emerald Star will get the 3-year-old allowance.
yeah, it's interesting that. Yeah, I'd still like to be on Emerald Star, but it's very interesting that Christophe Soumia and Alain de Hoya Dupree has brought it over. It's a very interesting race.
Yeah. For my nap, I'll be at Lingfield as well in the Derby trial. I will be siding with Sudden Wonder, but tomorrow's racing wasn't really too much for me to get excited about. So how strong that fancy is, I'm not 100% sure, but he should take a lot of beating in that field. That would appear to be it for our video, except for a few questions that we've got.
Yeah. I've got one quick one. It's from Sunil Kumar. Hi, Sunil. Red Galileo, very big price, can go well.
I think he's a bit of a depth, to be honest.
Yeah, you know how much I love my Reds. I don't think for me tomorrow is not for me. So.
Quick question. Kai Wills has said Australia for the Derby at 6-4 isn't it printing money?
I thought it was a hell of a run in the Guineas.
It was a big run,
yeah.
Isn't there 7-4 available as well, though?
Yeah, I think there is.
So.
I'd take 7-4 if I were you, Kai.
I'd wait until the day.
Yeah, I'd wait until the day.
There'll be offers on the day.
Yeah, it's true.
You get the massive 3-1 Australia.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Wait for the day.
It's a very good price if you can get 3-1 about it. But,
yeah, but then you can only put a then you can only put a tenner on it. So.
Yeah. And Kieran from Monkey Tits is back with one last question, and probably the big question that's all been on our minds for the last year, maybe. Who wins the Eurovision Song Contest?
Oh. Austria looks a bit strange.
That's weird.
They're going for the. Oh no, it's not. Which one's Austria? Oh, that's the man with the beard, isn't it? Woman with the beard.
Are Denman in it? Denmark.
Denman's going to win the Eurovision
Denman would get
Song
my
Contest.
vote every time.
Is it going to be for Britain or for Ireland? Will we get Father Ted turning up?
My lovely, lovely house. Are Denmark in there?
Denmark, yeah, they're 33s.
Yeah, Denmark, cracking each way price. Ran brilliantly last time out. Improved for the run.
Why didn't we do a sweepstake for the Eurovision Song Contest? Damn.
Because we're not massive losers.
It's a bit late now.
Yeah.
Off you
When
go,
is the
Adam.
Eurovision Song Contest?
Oh, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I
Yeah.
can't wait for that.
Belarus are worth an each way at 300 to 1.
Oh, with their cheesecake. I love that song.
Yeah, I heard it the other day, like just a little snippet of it, and it was annoyingly catchy.
Yeah.
So I was surprised to see them a massive price.
Most of the songs are at Eurovision now, so.
Yeah, and one last mention is that Grandier will be winning at Belmont Park on Sunday, I believe the race is, in the Man of War Stakes. And finally, he will get his Group 1, hopefully. But from all of us here on the other hoof, Callum, are you ready?
Yeah,
You weren't ready, were you?
I was ready.
I don't know if I believe that. From all of us here on the other hoof, hope you have a brilliant weekend. If you have a bet, good luck to everyone. And good luck with this Group 6 as well, if you're having a go at it. But for everyone here, goodbye.
Goodbye.